and gives everybody that richer life. So, I don't want to get there yet. So this idea, I want you to imagine what this world would look like, and imagine everywhere that you see it, what this world would look like if Walt Disney did not step into his boldness. Because it almost happened. I know in Florida, too, it's really hard to imagine it because Walt Disney World is such a big thing. But it came really close to not happening because in 1919, he was drawing cartoons for the Kansas City Star newspaper, and he got fired because he, according to his editor, was not creative and he had no good ideas. Get out of here. But he knew that there was something deeper within him, and where a lot of people would have said, he's right, I really don't have good ideas, I'm just going to go get a real job, with the air quotes, whatever a real job is, the ones that we don't like, I guess. But he stepped up. And then history, like we're surrounded by people that tapped into that bigger thing. So it reminds me of Oprah Winfrey, who had a very, very challenging childhood, but overcame. And then after college, had her start as a co-anchor in Baltimore. And there was a story where she was reporting on a family that lost their house. And she was so moved by this story that she showed up the next day with blankets and supplies for them. And she got reprimanded by her boss and said, you can't get involved. You can't, feel into these stories. And she couldn't separate it. So she ended up getting released from that position and put in a lesser position where it was just kind of a discussion format. And of course, that's where she really shined. Somebody in Chicago picked that up and said, let's bring her here and give her own show. And one last one, Sylvester Stallone. The guy was dead broke. He wanted to be an actor so bad, but they said, you look funny and you talk funny. You will never be an actor. So he didn't give up. He wrote the screenplay for Rocky, sold it, took it to different studios, and said, this is my screenplay. He found one studio that said, we like it, we'll give you $150,000. And he was dead broke. He had just sold his dog. That's how broke he was. That's all he had left to get any money for survival. They said, we'll give you $150,000. He said, that's fine, but I'm the lead role. And they said, no. $250,000. I'm the lead role? No. They offered him $350,000, and he said, I'm not selling it unless I am the lead role. They gave him $35,000 and let him star. And of course, that year it went on, it won Best Picture. He was nominated for Best Actor. He didn't give up. He had courage within that we all have. There's nothing in those people that is not within us. The very life force itself is not just boldness, but holy boldness. Taking the word holy, moving it out of like this separate thing. It is just a bigger power, creating a new earth and a new experience for everyone. It's going to require, we dig deeper. We find that holy boldness within us, or sacred audacity. I looked up the definition of audacity, and the first one is, willing to take risks. And the second one was, I forget how they worded it, rudeness, or disrespect. And I like that it has those two meanings, because depending on the situation, some people will look at it and say, that's courage, that's willing to take a risk. And other people would be like, how dare they? Because that makes me feel uncomfortable, so how dare they be so audacious? So this is our call this month, is to really tap into and embody that thing that leads us into bigger vistas. Now, one thing that, we need to bring into this, I just mentioned some people that did exceptionally big things. And that's not what is the norm. For a lot of people, when we talk about holy boldness and how to step into the bigger thing, we do it right where we are. One of the things that I love about Centers for Spiritual Living and the philosophy of science of mind and what it evolved from, which is the early New Thought teachers. So many people that find this philosophy, and especially that going all the way back to the very beginning, came to it because they were looking to heal something was missing in their life. Maybe it was health. Maybe they just had a hole in their heart that said, there's something bigger. What is that? And I feel compelled to find it. So a lot of people that find themselves here, finding holy boldness might just be, I'm going to get out of bed today. And and that's a really big thing for a lot of people. And we all go through our ups and downs and cycles. And I know I've had my times when that's the best I can do. But that deserves, when we step into something that is challenging and we do it anyway, we're tapping into that bigger boldness that's within us. So this week, we're going to look at, what it takes. It takes that inner courage. It takes an inner awareness of that deeper presence. And then the last part's kind of playful. We're going to, open up to imagination, because imagination is one of our tools, and it's pretty important. So I love the songs. The songs today, all three of them, absolutely perfect in alignment. And I was paying attention to the one, what would I do today if I were brave? What would you do today if you were brave? We all have these inner callings. I call them whisperings, things that we want to do. And the combination that you have within you is unique to you. And they're there because the universe, the life force, wants to experience it through you. So in the teaser, you might, if you saw it, remember that I used the Wayne Dyer quote of, "Don't die with your music still in you." I love the quote. So the first part is, looking at the inner courage. Just to embrace, to go within and say, what does make me unique? Takes boldness. Because starting at an early age, we're kind of conditioned when we step into something that we like. I remember when I was about 11 years old, the song Jack and Diane was out, John Cougar Mellencamp. See, Alex likes that one. And a friend of mine and myself, we were singing it. And I was feeling it. And my friend stopped and early on, he's like, whoa, you're being all serious and stuff. And I got so embarrassed because I was trying to sound good. I was trying to sing. But it made him uncomfortable, and it probably wasn't great singing either. But he stopped me, and I let that happen. I felt my face get red. I felt myself shrink. I could feel the physical contraction. And that's kind of how life happens early on. We're conditioned to not step outside of the herd. And it makes people uncomfortable. And when somebody kind of puts a stop on that, for many, many people, that shuts down those dreams. How many people out there, I use the references of, Stallone and Oprah. How many people out there had equally big visions, had equally big things to do in the world, but instead they decided to stay small and play it safe? Yeah, and it's definitely not a condemnation, because I get it. And that's the beauty of life. There is no right or wrong. The universe wishes to express through us in its biggest ways, and it's there for us when we want it. And when we call upon it, it will show up for us and enable it. And at the same time, it still loves us when we don't step up. We are always supported. We are never alone. That presence that's bigger than ourselves, that takes just regular boldness into holy boldness, is always there with us and as us. But we recognize it and we step into it. So that inner courage, it's fitting that this is June. It is National Pride Month. And I always find deep inspiration from many friends in the LGBTQ community who have found that courage to stand up and say, this is who I am. This is how I am, and I won't be persecuted. I won't be ostracized or made to stay in the closet. We're here. That's inner courage. That's listening to something when society, a lot of society, says, that makes me uncomfortable. Can you please just, I just don't want to see it. It's okay. But we need it. We need every single person that's leaning towards love and greater expression and expansion. That's how we can tell the difference between that inner courage, that inner voice. If it leads to more love, if it leads to more connection, if it leads to more expression and expansion in this world, you can feel it. Like I can feel myself opening up when I envision it, as opposed to when my friend said, "You're being serious," and I just felt like myself shrivel. You can feel the energy of what draws us in. So inner courage is essential as we're going to create a world that works for everyone, as we create this grand rising. So then, like just to have the courage to go within and ask, like, what makes me different? What is mine to do in the world? Then it takes the courage to step into it. So that's when we draw upon our inner presence, that still small voice. It's amazing what can come about when we just open up to, as Ernest Holmes called it, the power greater than yourself in this universe for good, and you can use it. It's there. It's just waiting. The ideas, the expressions, the ways of joining together and recognizing our oneness that takes courage, there's a presence there that supports us along the way. It's learning to jump and just have faith that that net is there. That comes from going within, stilling the voice and asking, what is mine to do? And then asking, what are the steps to do? And again, as a way of recognizing, like we're all at the place where we are. This isn't to guilt anybody or to make us feel like we have to do more. It's just to encourage us to do what's already there that wants to come out for us. The universe has its ideas, and if I get an idea and I don't act upon it, consciousness is still going to express that idea, and it will be expressed somewhere. We live in an infinite and eternal universe. It will spring up in another place. But wouldn't it be greater if it came through me, if it came through you, if you were able to get the music in you out into the world and share? It enriches everyone around us. And so having faith that there is a presence within us that not only gives us the inspiration, it also gives us the steps to take. And that takes the time to go within, to contemplate, and to ask, like, what is mine to do? And we need every single one of us. So there's a quote by Ernest Holmes that really digs into this. He says, "Every desire you have for betterment in life is some echo from deep within, which forever proclaims, 'Behold, I make all things new.'" An echo from deep within. It's there. Have you heard it? Have you had moments of stillness where something speaks to you? And then after you hear that, do you go and sit down maybe in front of the TV and kind of block it out because that's a little scary to maybe even consider the audacity to step out and be outside of the protection of the herd? Well, creating a new world, a new way of being, requires us to step into more and more. And Ernest Holmes knew that very well. And the thing is, the universe shows up for us. Does everybody know the movie The Princess Bride? Or some people? Okay. Oh, looks like it's a favorite for some people. So there's Princess Buttercup, and then there's the farm boy Wesley. And Princess Buttercup is always bossing around the farm boy. And every time she asks him for something, he says, "As you wish. As you wish." That's the universe. It'll give you ideas, and you say, "I'm going to step into it." The universe says, "As you wish," and it meets you where you are.
It does not say it in his voice.
No, it doesn't. No. And the universe talks to us in weird, mysterious ways. But it gives us what we want. So again, you are always on that choice. Are you going to continue to stay small, or are you going to step into who you are? Or are you going to give up? Or are you going to find the courage and the holy boldness to just go on one more day? Just knowing that you are here for a reason. If you are breathing, there is something that the universe wants from you, the physical universe, this physical earth, because the part of you that exists forever, it's already whole and complete. But this world is where we come to share with one another and move into creating a world that works for everyone. So the universe just always gives you as you wish, and it's okay. There is no right or wrong, but there is fuller living, and that's what I think we find ourselves doing when we come to Centers for Spiritual Living. We're looking for a deeper experience. We're looking for our connection to something bigger, and we find it, and then we create synergy here through our experiences, and we continue just to grow. The other thing is that we need to is imagination. Using imagination as a tool. So when you find yourself in a moment of maybe you're embarking on that new adventure, maybe you're starting a new project, maybe you're just trying to find the strength to figure out what you can accomplish today, imagination can open up the door. We teach in the Science of Mind that everything begins in mind. Teaching symbol, everything up there, it begins with a thought, every single thing. So when we are not able to find, like, what is mine to do, what is the next step, or what the question is that we're asking ourselves, open up to imagination. There's a quote from the Bible, and it's something about you have to have the mind of a child to enter into heaven. And we teach here, heaven it's a state of mind, but you have to have the mind of a child, and imagination is the mind of a child. So just allowing yourself to make believe and pretend. I am bold, I am brave, I am courageous. I will find the strength. There is inspiration within me. In embracing that imagination and seeing what shows up, and then being able to step into that and really owning it. Imagination is a very powerful tool. I have one more pop reference, I guess. There's a book called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And the premise is that he was very upset at God, and he started a dialogue. And I really recommend the book. It's one of my all-time favorites. But he vented something to God, and God asked him in his head, he's like, do you really want an answer, or are you just venting? And he said, I want answers. So he writes this amazing dialogue going back and forth. And whether you believe in how it comes about or not, the information is exactly how I picture this universe. So he was bold because he took a manuscript that was a conversation between him and God to publishers. And he got shot down very many times, of course. But when one of the questions in the book he's writing, he's like, now God, people are going to say I'm crazy. And people are going to say, this isn't you talking, it's imagination. What do I say? And God says, well, of course it's imagination. I would use every tool available to communicate with anybody that seeks me. Mysterious ways. But imagination shows up for us as a gift, and we can engage it. We can tap into it. That imagination is a superpower. So this month, as we're looking to be, wholly bold and sacred audacious, use that imagination and imagine yourself as being absolutely powerful, because there is a life force behind each and every one of us that will compel us to step into our biggest self. So then we always have a call to action. The call to action this week is take action. Whatever it is, what's yours to do right where you're at? What is one thing that moves you into your grand self? What is one thing? And take action. Maybe it's just sitting down and seeing what is yours to do, but that's the first step. But the universe meets you. When you take one step, the universe shows you what the next one is. So one last quote from Paulo Coelho from The Alchemist. He says, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. And later in the book, he says, when you really want something. So that's the difference. When it's something that is spirit talking to you and through you, you feel it in every fiber of your being, and you know you have to put it forward. Getting to that place. And sometimes it takes imagination to really fine-tune it and see what it is, because we have had it stamped out of us from an early age. So when we start to expand and show up in this place, I've come a long ways from when I was that little person, but I didn't start really making the adjustments until I was in my mid-30s. But when I look back to even where I was, when I started getting serious about seeking spirit and utilizing it, the shifts are tremendous. And to people on the outside, they might look in and say, you ain't all that. And they're right. But if they saw like where I came from, I'm all that in a bag of chips. It's life is powerful, and thank you. So that thing is within all of us, and it is our gift to give to the world, and it's our gift to receive. So we'll just finish up with our spiritual principle. The diversity of the world is amazing, and it's because we are all spirit, but we show up in our own individualized ways. So from Ernest Holmes, what we believe, he said, we believe in the individualization of the spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one spirit, every single one of us. And our spiritual practice is the practice of self-awareness. And we engage this by looking, going into silence, taking time to meditate, using our imagination, whichever ones of these resonate with you. The last one's spiritual guidance, which we are blessed here at Centers for Spiritual Living, especially CSL Cape Coral, because we have 10 practitioners at the moment and about to have 2 more. They are here to help you tap into that deeper part of you. So if you don't know where to begin, if you don't know how to open up to the voice, allow them. Do paid sessions. Session work is really powerful that will expedite your understanding of who you are and what Spirit wants to put out there. So then our affirmation that we had earlier from, I believe, the meditation is, I am bold, courageous, and brave. So let's use our imagination. Let's feel it in our heart. Dig down deep and join together as we say, I am bold, courageous, and brave. One more time. I am bold, courageous, and brave. Yeah. And so it is. It comes from within, and it's there for us. So with that being said, let's take this within into that place where just by thinking imagination in our mind, imagine the vastness of the physical universe, and then tie that into the infinite space of mind. Anything that you can imagine is possible in the mind, and that spirit, or what I call God, is not a person. It's not a human. It's not acting as an individual. It is simply the presence, the life force, and the consciousness, which is always expressing, changing, expanding, and evolving. So I know that each and every one of us, we are all part of that, and that there is a drive within, that we each have our own individual ways to show up. We each have our own song to be sung. And when we come together with our recognition of what we are and what we come from, each individual song blends together in the perfect symphony of physical life on this planet to express the beauty that is beyond our imagination of the infinite mind of Spirit. So I know that as we move forward, that the whisperings get a little louder. The fear of standing out shrinks a little as the courage to step into who we are in our biggest and boldest ways, to recognize those around us who are on their journey, that desire gets a little bigger and a little bigger. Each step we take, many small steps, all comprise a large journey in each and every one of us. We're here for a reason. Our physical lives are not infinite. Our days are numbered. But may we step into the joy of being our highest self each and every moment of each day. Every day that we make a choice of stepping into our higher selves, our audacious selves, enriches those around us, enriches ourselves, and makes the universe sing a little louder, a little more brightly. So I just affirm that as we move forward, we're each comforted, we're each guided, we're each inspired by Spirit, and we find the courage to step into who we are and support those around us who are doing the same. With gratitude, I recognize all life, all love, and I just release these words into the mind, knowing that as I do, it's already done, that this world is shifting into a world that works for everyone, one thought at a time, one imagination, and one action at a time. So if you're with me on this journey, let's affirm it together by saying, and so it is. So it is. Thank you. Thank you.